So, Carmen is onto the Resistance. Now, this is this kit is the only starter kit that is in resin at the moment, but it's brand new. It's fresh out. Dave, can you tell us a bit about the Resistance and what's in the kit? Because it is still fairly new.
Yeah, the Resistance are a mixed faction in that they're the most flexible in terms of doing what you want with them, both narratively and on the battlefield, because they're a mix between kind of salvaged ex-civilian kit that's been gunned up, like technicals, wagons with guns on the back, and ex-military tanks. The ex-military kit dates back from before the Scourge invasion, when humanity didn't need a massive army and had a huge budget. So all the kit is overly complex. It's kind of certain like mid-war German stuff, for example. It's almost like that in terms of the quality of the equipment that they have. Even though it's very old, they have multiple weapon systems, lots of armor, lots of damage points. But then obviously the civvy stuff has got not very much armor and is very cheap. So you've got this mix of the two, and you can combine those two things in whatever proportion you like.
Carmen, what made you pick the Resistance?
Well, one, I like the resin as opposed to plastic. Although I've previously bought every starter kit, and this is my second starter kit of the Resistance. I really like the resin because it's really good quality, and I like the fact that a lot of these are one piece or just two pieces, so it's super duper easy, and they magnetize really awesome. So I already magnetized.
Oh, you've been magnetizing here?
Yeah, mine are all magnetized. So I already magnetized all my engines and good stuff like that.
Yeah, the thing about the Resistance resins, and the reason why they're resin rather than plastic, is because there's at least three versions of every component for the Resistance. So if it's like the left engine of the lift hulk, for example, there are three different versions of that piece with different bolted-on armor replacements that are. So really, no two models
is a real important thing to have a look at.
No two models in your army will be exactly the same with the Resistance. They'll all be different to some because they're all old and they're all patched up, and so that they're not. And that's you can't really do that in plastic without doing loads of different versions of the same sprue, which we didn't really want to go down. So, and the level of detail on them, I really went to town on the Resistance. A long time. I mean, the detail level is pretty crazy, and things like transmissions underneath vehicles, you've got all of that with the Resistance, and that's harder to do in plastic.
What's the play style like? What can Carmen expect as he's playing these?
It's kind of hammer and anvil partly, in that the big heavy armoured stuff isn't particularly quick, but you can rely on it living. The Resistance standard tank, the Hannibal, that's 2 damage points, armour 10, which is tougher than anything else any of the other factions have in their starter box. But then the other side of that is your AA is pretty weak and feeble. It's only armour 6, 2 damage points, which is going to die quite fast, but they hit on 2s.
It means that stuff in the air is going to be a continuous threat throughout the entire game for you, but your heavy stuff is big enough to get through, provided not too much of it concentrates
also,
on
your dropships as a Resistance player, they're armed with AA, which is very unusual for a dropship. Most dropships in Drop Zone can't do AA. There's a few exceptions, and the Lift Hulk for the Resistance is one of them. So your ground-based AA is a little bit weak and feeble compared to the other factions, but you've got some in the air too. So
so it does balance there.
It mixes up a bit. Your infantry aren't marvellous, but there are lots of them, which helps. But your APCs are quite tough. They're armour tougher APCs than anyone else, which is nice.
I love these APCs. I love the style of them.
The half tracks.
And not only that, in the game, the grenade launchers are awesome, especially with if you've got too many infantry on the other side, the little spider bots.
The spider bots.
Send them in. Game over.
Well, an interesting thing about the boot camp is that I believe Resistance, I think at least 6 people chose Resistance. Now, we often talk in the industry about, it's great to go plastic, it's great to go plastic. But a lot of people out there, myself included, we still love resin. The resin stuff, it's a beautiful material to work with, and I particularly like the chunkiness, the feel of resin models. So don't be in too much of a hurry, Dave, to change these to plastic. Okay, Carmen, we're going to leave you to it, mate. Good work.